Spoiler warning. The following video contains spoilers for the board game Role Player Adventures. And some whining, but mostly spoilers. Thank you.
Hey there, folks. Welcome to day 37 of my year of solo board gaming, considered by many to be ill-advised and stupid, and certainly I'm starting to feel that, especially now. I am currently on day 9 of Role Player Adventures. So if you were hoping to get to the other side of this, we still got a couple days to go. We are on day 37 overall, but 9 of these have been done with Role Player Adventures. And it's been interesting. I think I've been a little whiny, and that's actually supposed to be a 3. I'm sorry. I think I've been a little whinier than I should be about it. This is a dice game, so luck is going to be involved. I do feel like I have missed out, unfortunately, on a number of things, a number of story elements, a number of story beats. That's been unfortunate, and I think that's just the nature of the game. So will I play through this again? Probably, because I definitely want to try. Like, you give me this many different preset characters, I want to try a couple more. Like, that is just an insane amount of characters, and there's got to be other things for them to do. But right now, I'm still playing with Ivory Veritas, a construct enchanter. We are on Adventure 9, and so we're going to go ahead and get started. We got everything set up here. We've got a vertical map this time. So this is going to be a little difficult to play around with in terms of where it's going to sit. We got our map here. In terms of improvements, I did take one extra in, I think, Constitution or Strength. I think Strength I went up to 3. And since I had 4 more XP left over, I did 25 to 27 for health to boost that up there. So we're going to be stronger, so we'll be able to handle some of these skill checks, but I'm expecting that our skill checks are probably now going to be on level 4, because we've got 4 levels and we're nearing the end of the thing. We've got Gurlung Colossus by James Ryan, and we're going to go ahead and get started. At Cuddy's Landing, you learned that the Immortal Knight is lost in another plane and that the Gurlung Colossus can take you to him if you get it working again. You have traveled to Gurlung Bay, where the Colossus rests peacefully. Sorry, it's a little too warm in here now. In the Tidewaters, strange sounds reverberate within the giant's metal body. The villagers of Gurlung believe it to be possessed. To your surprise, an elvish fisherman waits for you with a rowboat. He introduces himself as Hans Baha and offers you a plank of wood as you step onto his vessel. "Welcome, aboard," he says, expecting a laugh. When you stare at him blankly, he pushes off, grumbling about your poor sense of humor. I am a construct, after all. As you cross the bay, a small purple rift opens and closes again over the giant's shoulder. It seems the Colossus has attracted visitors from another plane. The side of Baha's skiff gently collides with the metal hulk near a large open porthole. "Take this with you," he says. Read Discovery Card 71. 71! What's on the other side? It's going to be a mechanical sparrow. Robot bird. No stamina to use, so we'll be using that quite liberally. A scrap of parchment in the sparrow's beak has anonymous orders for Baha to row you to the Colossus. "I'm glad to be freed of it. I'm glad to be free of it," he says. "It's been a great burden to me. To get it? That's in character. That's not me. Place your party marker at A, location A, and read location A. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take the XP, because that's how we start every one of these. Inside the rusted hulk, it is warm, humid, and dark. Strange metallic sounds echo along narrow corridors. The sunken hull beneath you groans with the shifting pressures of the sea. Your entry point appears to be an engine room. 6 circular gongs rest against 6 crystal shafts full of red sand. Pistons sitting at different heights suggest that the movement of the sand once drove the core mechanisms of the Colossus. At the base of this array, 5 rusty automaton sentries lie half buried in a row of fitted impressions in the floor. Their Degolium chest plates are all open, revealing hollow chambers within. Each sentry, its slot, and its corresponding crystal shaft are painted with numbers 1 through 6. Just like the die. Slot number 4 is vacant. The shaft is cracked and empty. A path of angular footprints leads through red sand spread across the floor. The corridor ahead branches in 2 directions. The passage to the right smells of old leather. The passage to the left of fresh leaves. We can now move to another location. So I guess it doesn't really matter which one we go with. Just so you know that there are 3 encounters here, but they had us draw 4 numbers. So this is whatever number is not used. But we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 among here. Whichever way we go, we're going to have an encounter. So lungs or heart, lungs or heart, lungs or heart. We're going to go lungs. 1. Let's hopefully we won't die this time, because I'm tired of losing XP. Alright. If the sentry token is on the adventure map, roll a die. So the sentry token is this lovely little thing here, and it's on the map, so we are going to roll a die. 4. If the result is 3 or higher, move the sentry 1 location counterclockwise from D to B, B to C, or C to D. So clockwise among here, but not the engine room down here. In a ladder way that passes through a maze of turning gears and sprockets, you reach a landing and stop to admire the complex movements around you. A door opens, and out comes a short, dark figure with a pink crystal embedded in its face, examining a glowing staff of purple stone. The figure appears to be wearing a suit of black rubber. When it looks up and notices you, the figure startles and races back to the door, only to find that it is now locked. Cornered, the figure draws a line in the air with its staff, producing a spear of vibrant pink energy. The being grabs hold of the spear and lunges towards you, forcing you to the edge of the landing. The interlocking teeth of massive gears turn beneath you. We can try to make peace with the strange figure, or defend ourselves before it pushes us over the edge. So we're going to go ahead and make peace, because we prefer skill checks to combat. We are a peaceful robot. You raise your hands to show you mean no harm as the pink crystal face of the figure begins to glow. And then there's something about Starlit Door, but that doesn't apply here. So Charm 4. And as I kind of thought we would, we are now on the... Now just way, way up in terms of... Deception, Concealment, and Charm. We are way, way up in terms of what we need to roll. So that's going to go here. Try not to knock everything around. So we need a lot of purple and some white and green. And so we're going to take pretty much 3 purple, because we don't really have a way to generate purple specifically. We just kind of have to hope for the best. And then we'll probably pull 1 white, because if we're going to be that busy trying to arrange for these other dice, I just kind of want to keep some options open. So we're going to get 10 dice total. We're going to pull 6 more dice out of here, which is really good. Okay, we got 1 more purple. Plus we got the green down there. Let's see, we got 7, 8, 9. Okay, that purple, that blue doesn't help. And another white. And the white helps. The white is definitely good. Alright, so let's see what we can do here. And our goal will be to try to get the XP first, and then other stuff. Alright, so on the plus side, we do knock out 1, 3, and 5 automatically. Plus we knock out the 1 here. And then we're kind of stymied from there. Now, we've got a 4 here that can pretty much cover this last dice here. So our goal here is now generate a 3, or convert a 3 to a color that we need, adjust the 5, and then we need 2 white dice, one of which can come from here. So we're going to have a total of 4 plays plus 2 bonus. So let's plan this out a little bit. Sadly, this is I picked this up, and neither of these are going to help, unfortunately. We've got the spell book here. That's going to be our first thing. We have so many dice now. It is a little insane. Yeah, we don't want that one. We don't want that one because we actually want to adjust the green one, the green 5, to a 4. We're going to line this up here. So we do this right. And then we're going to use manipulate here, and that's, nope, we're going to take weak here, and that is going to turn this 5. So this covers the 3, this covers the 4, this covers the 4, we still need a 2. And resolute would also allow me to look at a 3 or 4 as anything. So that is another option for us. In fact, if we can flip the white, we're done. Because the white here can now cover the 2 instead. And then we can just generate a 4. With enchant, and then use resolute. Really need to start sorting these out. Yeah, resolute. There we go. And this will do it. We can move that there. So we're going to put these aside, and now we're going to actually play our cards. So the weak allows us to look at the 3 as a 4, as a purple. That fills that in. The wand allows us to adjust this 5 down to a 4, which fills this in. This manipulate allows us to flip the 5 to a 2, filling that in. We've used 3 cards. We have a total of 4, plus we can do a bonus play. Fourth is the enchant. It's not the right color, unfortunately. But we make that a 4, and then we play our 5th card, so we'll pull the bonus in to make resolute, and that 4 fills in here. We get our other XP, which is important. And we flip this because we are now able to rest. So we succeeded in our skill check. Now, time to do all the things that I normally don't do. I'm going to put the dice away, put the bag over here, put the skill check away, and then read on. The figure seems satisfied and puts its spear away. Adventure 929. The figure releases its grip on the spear, which vanishes in response. It points its purple stone staff at the ground, projecting light to show you a three-dimensional map of the Colossus and its passageways. Reveal, the image expands to focus on your current location, and then the figure traces a route up to the left shoulder of the giant. It seems that the strange explorer is inviting you to its camp. Reveal Discovery Card 4. This is a 4 arrow, which makes sense. Reveal Discovery Card 52. We saw this happen with the last one where there were multiple discovery cards used to affect the map. Kleinox Camp. And we're going to put a little XP on there. Record the keyword harmless. We did not erase keywords from last time, and that is looking really messy right now. I have a little collection of basically broken pencils and erasers that looks ridiculous. I really just need to toss a lot of them. Knock all that out of the way. And then we need a pencil. So here we go. And we record the keyword harmless. We may now rest or move on to the next location. We are going to take advantage of a rest. We're going to take 1 dice back. Roll. At the end of the skill check, we get all our discards back. but the rest allows us to restore 4 of these. We also should have refilled the attribute rows, but we're not going to worry about that right now. And I think, there we go. That should do it. I'm not sure how I lost one along the way. 4 goes back here. We don't worry about the the class card because we didn't use it, and our spent cards come back here. And we're good. We're going to go on to the next adventure then. All right, Steel Lungs. And there is a sentry here, so that's going to pose some problems, I'm guessing. Sorry, my voice is a little raspy today. All right. We start with the sentry version of this. You pass through a round doorway into a bright shaft of sunlight. A wooden workbench, covered with tools and metal bird parts, lines the wall to your left. In the middle of beaks and wings, you find an odd trinket. And we're told to take 55. Mechanical whistle, which I'm guessing goes with the sparrow. In the center of this tall room, narrow room, a mass of green vines rises up from a planter and spreads out across a glass ceiling far above you. Thin green and yellow leaves sprout everywhere from the vines, creating a warm and beautiful glow in the sunlight. You look to the ceiling and discover a flock of mechanical birds perched in its vines. Embedded high up in opposite walls, 2 gigantic fans lie dormant, their blades obstructed by massive vines. Sentry 4 clips leaves from the vines with a pair of garden shears. It turns to stare at you with dull, red eyes, shears in hand. A large, rusty lever protrudes from its back. Its Dergolium chestplate shines in the thin shafts of sunlight. So we have a couple options. We can try to pull the rusty lever on its back. We can hold still and observe the sentry. Or we can strike the shears, hold still, or pull its rusty lever. So those are our options. Combat is always tricky. I don't think picking a fight with a sentry is necessarily the helpful thing. And as we've established, I like my skill checks. But in terms of what we can do, dexterity is a 2, charisma 3, constitution is a 4, and wisdom is a 3. I have more constitution and wisdom for the skill check, and I have very little way to do anything about black dice. Had I kept on to that Fiend of Chaos, I might, but instead I wasted it on a failed... I need to stop being bitter about that and stop being salty. Don't be whiny. But I think our best bet is to do the hold still and observe the entry. I don't know. Getting rid of, deactivating the sentry also seems like a good idea. Let's hold still and observe the sentry. We got to go with what we're good at. B10. You hold still, hoping the sentry won't see you as a threat, but so you can learn more about its behavior. We have a skill check, and this is the first skill check I've come across that uses a modifier. The modifier here is dangerous, which makes sense. Rewards cannot be gained until all dice slots are covered. Oh, that blows. That blows. Throw that back in there. Let's go to observation. And it's going to be green and white as a majority of it. We're going to take 2 of each. We've also got a purple and or green and blue at the end of it as well. But we're going to take 2 green, 2 white. And then we're going to get a total of 8 dice, so we got 8 more dice that we can take. Or 4 more dice that we can take. 2 black dice, that's not good. Am I not? Oh my lord! See, that's just taunting me. That is just taunting me on the dexterity thing. Do you see that? I mean, that would have been great for a dexterity challenge. It does me no good here. I have a feeling that we're going to generate some green dice here. We do have a fiend that will generate just green dice, and that's it. So a lot of tall dice, a lot of high dice, which, again, not great. So we got to cover all of these, and so that's going to be the challenge. We can cover the 5s at least. This is going to be rough. So essentially, we need to produce some dice, and I hate to waste. So at the very least, I need to bring in one. Let's actually get Resolute out of the way. Resolute will be our first dice. It's going to take this 4. It's going to make it this 4. So that's done. We've got protection here. That will allow us to generate another black dice. Another green dice. Another green. We really want this to be a 1 or a 2. 2. That's excellent. 2 is actually better. So we've used protection. That's 2 cards. There's a flip that we can do for the runic die. But I think before we do that, we're going to pull a blue out. That's going to be our third play. The reason that we're generating a blue is because if I use the runic to flip the green, which will help me cover the 1. 1, 2. It's going to be rough. It's going to be rough no matter what. So 3. That's not great. But I think we're now within shot. So 4th card will be that. Fifth card will be that, because that will give me the 1. That'll be my first bonus play. Because I can play any number of runic cards and they don't count against the play limit, I can use this to get this to a 2, and then Pickpocket makes that a 5. So I will use all of my bonus plays. And just to go through the rest of this spellbook makes this a 5. This runic necklace flips this to a 1. The runic crown makes this a 2. That, again, these 2 count as 1 play. Pickpocket makes this a 5. All my black dice were no use to me whatsoever. Goodbye. And I think I probably could have taken the 3. I think there was a 2 in there, so I could have just added the 2 to it. I didn't actually need the 6th one. I could have done my class skill ability, but potato. So I'm going to get 2 XP out of this, which is good because I'm going to use one of those to rest up a little bit. Those are all going to go in there. Just so that we're being careful here about how we do things. The discards go back into my hand. The spent stay there. We're now back into a rest situation. We never did flip it from before. We can put dangerous away. And we can continue reading. It ignores you and tends to its work. 21. Okay. As you remain still and watchful, the sentry turns to the massive vines and carefully prunes green and yellow leaves, collecting them in a small basket. When it has filled its basket, it leaves the room without disturbing you. With the sentry gone, you turn your attention to the fans. After a bit of work, you are able to free their blades of vines, and they begin turning again. Thick, smoky air enters the room from one fan, and the vine's leaves reach out, inhaling the smoke. As the air drifts past the vines, it becomes purified, and exits the room through the other fan. Clean air circulates, and mechanical birds animate in the vines above. They preen their feathers and click their talons. Some catch the light breeze and drift in circles, move around the upper reaches of the narrow room. Move the sentry to the next location, so that's going to be C. Record the keyword breathe. We may now use an item, rest, or move to another location. Before we rest, we're actually going to use 5571 together. See what happens. And then we might use B55 on its own. V5571. You hold the mechanical sparrow and look for a way to insert the whistle. There's no opening large enough, but you find a keyhole in its chest. Okay, so now we know that there's a keyhole in the chest, which we could kind of tell looking at the picture. We'll use one more to just use B55. You blow the whistle and it lets out a sweet series of chirps. All right, well, that's useless. So now we will rest. We will go ahead and use 1 XP, which seems a little dangerous because now we have 6 fatigue. But I'm going to go ahead and be a little dangerous. We're still early on. 3. All right. So we do all the things. That's going to go there. We're going to get 1 more for wisdom. These 2 get cleared out. Rest token gets turned back over. Spent goes back into the hand, and we are good to go. All right. So now we should head on to the antechamber, except there's no path to the antechamber. We're going to have to go back down to the engine room. Not irritating. I don't think I noticed that before. That probably would have been a good thing to notice. A1. Here in the engine room, the pistons are motionless and the sentries gather dust. Half buried in the floor, their degolium chest cavities are open and empty. Sentry slot 4 remains vacant. We'll now continue onward. 4. Adventure 4. I've moved too far back in the adventure book. All right. If you have any of the following, read 9.6. If the sentry token is on the adventure map, roll a die. If it is 3 or higher, move the sentry. Which we kind of want, because we want that sentry to be moved by the time that we get to there. There we go. Antechamber. Now we're going to go to 9.10. And I know I'm not reading the choices here. I kind of want that to be a surprise. Steam billows from an old pipe, filling the corridor. Through the clouds step the cloaked figures of a young Bastia woman and an elderly dragonkin man. As they grow closer, you recognize the smiling faces of Masik and Mala, who greet you warmly. Our stars align once more, says Masik. Only this time we meet on sacred ground. This is the Colossus of Golpox the Crofter, creator of the construct race and traveler between worlds. My God, I mean, I'm a construct. How is that not coming into play here? Let's see. Mala explains, we came to collect these. She shows you several leather folios full of sheet music. Golpax's songs hold many secrets from her travel through the plains. This will be our guide once we take the gate at Brazura Wall. Wait, look into my eyes. Now, this is where our lack of allegiance to the Starlit Door is actually, I think, going to bite us in the butt. We've had a couple instances where we lost Starlit Door favor unnecessarily. Like, we could have made a choice that would have allowed us to keep some Starlit favor. So that's unfortunate. Masik frowns. I find it troubling that a hopeful soul would behave without respect for the Starlit Door. In any other time, we would simply banish you from this realm. But we live in an extraordinary moment, and Azima's benevolence demands more from us. Maula steps forward with an upturned palm. From you, we demand a sacrifice. What can you give us to retain your initiation in our order? So we can actually give them a rare weapon, armor, scroll, object, or familiar card. And we're going to go ahead, and I think... So let's take a look here. Rare weapon is not going to count for most of these. These are just simply weapons. And I'm not sure if rare is modifying all the rest of it. I don't think so. But let's take a look at the backs here, because this is going to be the rares. These are going to be the rares. Okay. So I think what they're saying is you have to go with just the rares for these. And it's artifact, weapons, objects. Yeah, and I think I'm good with giving them this. I don't think we actually need it. They can have it. So the Fiend of Misery, it's a one-time use thing only. It has not worked in any... None of the fiends have worked when I've gone to use them. Let's see. 939. We could have also fought them. Okay, so Mala smiles and places your gift in her bag. Masik nods approvingly. You have done well to make this sacrifice. Continue to follow our path, and you may join us as a full member for our victory at Brazoor Wall. One player return a rare card that is not an artifact to the rare deck. And Starlit Door goes up by 1. We can now rest or move to another location. Now, we can't really rest. We haven't done anything to actually initiate the rest, but we can move to the Dragon-Hearted Heart. Unfortunately, there's no nasty sentry. So let's go ahead. A ladderway brings you up into an alcove with a long container that contains a wooden cutting board, a water basin filled from an iron pipe, and a small fire. You search the counter and find an odd bit of machinery, a hand crank with a keyhole-shaped end. Reveal discovery card 58. I wonder what this might fit into. Hand crank. That looks like it could fit into a bird. Overhead there is a massive dark and spherical chamber in which hangs a gigantic sack of dragon hide. Oil drips from above, so you climb the sides of the alcove to get a better look. The dragon hide sack is attached to 2 pipes, each of which is controlled by a large valve wheel. Nested around these pipes is a sizable owlbear, which raises its head and blinks lazily in your directions. So we can try to attack the creature while we still can, or we can startle it in the hopes that it will flee. And I think I kind of want to startle it. It's going to require strength and intelligence, and while our strength is only 3, our intelligence is pretty high. So we're going to go with 2 whites, 2 reds. And I know I should take a look at what the actual challenge is. But we're just going to go ahead and pull these out now before we jump ahead. Because I like to do things out of order like an idiot. C7. Okay. You bang on the wall of the chamber and shout at the top of your lungs. The owlbear is startled, but it has not yet moved from its nest. Resistance, 4. I have a feeling we're not going to walk away with much XP anymore. Resistance, is that right? I grabbed the wrong color dice. I was supposed to grab blues. There we go. Okay. So we're going to need a total of 10 dice. This is going to be tricky. We're actually going to use one more of these. That's going to put us at 8. And that's going to generate one more red. Because we need to actually guarantee that we've got enough red to cover this. We're going to have some difficulty, I think. So green and purple. The purple will help. Okay, it's only going to help once. Sheesh. White. Okay. We might be okay. Because we have a familiar that will count as a red. Alright, let's start filling these in. 2, 3. So that's good. 6 and 5. So we get our first XP. That's not much good. That we might as well put there. The rest of this does not look good at all. Alright, so we have Manipulate, which will allow us to flip that purple dice into a 1. And I think that's my first bet. So that's 1. We're going to do this. We're going to sort of do this. Let's go ahead and do it. So that's 1. That gives us the 1 here. resolute, that's 2, allows us to cover this 3. I need to pull a white. So that's 3 cards now. Not great. Now I need to figure out how to get that white down to a 1. Can use the Blessed Mace, so that's 4. That makes that a 1. And now the last of this is actually easier. It'll require both bonus plays. But one of the things I picked up in the last one was Domesticate, which automatically produces a 6. And then I've got the Jade Gauntlet, which takes anything and makes it a 6. Actually, that's not going to work. Never mind. I need Domesticate, and then I need Weak. So that'll be my 2 bonus plays. This will simply produce a 6-sided dice, or a 6 on a dice that I randomly pick. And it's not the right color, but Weak allows me to change that into a red. I get my other thing here, and I succeed, and holy cow. So now we flip the rest icon token, and these all go away. This will all go back in here. Not used my class ability yet, which is a little surprising. Your noise scares it out of the room, C16. Your noise frightens the owlbear so badly that it sprints away from the chamber and down the ladderway. It will likely search for a more private location for its nest. With the owlbear gone, you are left alone with the valve wheels and its nest. When you turn these wheels, the dragon hide sack below you swells up, drawing in oil from one pipe, and then collapses again, drawing in oil from one pipe, pushing the oil out through the other pipe. Between contractions, you slide down the sides of the chamber and watch from the kitchen below as the heart of the Columbus pumps away. Record the keyword pump. So we've gotten this thing breathing and pumping. We've fixed its heart and its lungs, and we are harmless. We may now use an item, rest, or move to another location. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to rest. We're going to use both XP that we just got. Flip that over. These all come back. These go back to the bonus play. And then we're going to roll 2 dice and see how much we heal. The average 2 dice, of course, is 7. We've got 8 fatigue. So hopefully this will help. 6. Okay. So all but 2 fatigue. We'll go ahead and replenish these first. And then we'll put this one back. So now we're going to use the hand crank and mechanical sparrow here, which I think we might need to use in the steel lungs, but we'll see. C5871. You insert the crank into the chest of your mechanical sparrow. As it turns the crank, a compartment in the throat of the bird slits open. C26. It seems you have revealed a secret compartment. Return discovery cards 58 and 71 to the discovery deck and reveal discovery card 62. Unlocked sparrow. These will go back. And it has a no fatigue to worry about, so we can go ahead and use it. So we'll do C62 first. But I have a feeling we might need to use the mechanical whistle with it. The mechanical sparrow with the open throat rolls on its back and waits as if it's expecting you to put something into the open space. So now earlier it thought that we were trying to put the mechanical whistle inside the unlocked sparrow, or inside the mechanical sparrow, and it told us that there was no way to do that. However, now I think we can combine these. So if we're going to do 5562, you slide the whistle into the mechanical sparrow's open throat compartment and it clicks into place. C25. The little bird in your hand lets out a series of chirps and hops around happily. Return 55 and 62 to the discovery deck and reveal 82. I'm fairly happy about this because this feels like a much easier puzzle than we've been dealing with. And I kind of needed an easy win. Not going to lie, this was not complicated by any stretch. Everything was made pretty well clear what we're supposed to do with those. Now, if there was some benefit to using the sparrow elsewhere, I'm hoping that I don't sort of screw myself. But unlocked, no, that's 62. I just had 62. It told me to draw 82, which is probably a sparrow that's got like a song in its heart. It's probably a little too long to fit on the card. Whistling sparrow. There we go. So let's use the whistling sparrow here, C82. The mechanical sparrow hops around joyfully, chirping away with pleasure. The chamber above reverberates each note from the little bird, and which flies up into the darkness, expecting to find a friend. She flies around singing her song, which is echoed back to her as if the whole flock were in flight with her, but in fact, she flies alone. After a short time, she returns to you, looking confused and a little lonely. So, before we continue upwards, I think we know what we got to do. We're going to go back to the engine room. If there's no XP here, here in the engine room, blah, 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 we can move to another location. We're going to go to Steel Lungs. If you have the keyword breathe, B4, which we do. If the sentry is at this location, which it's not, in an error room, vines reach up from a central planar to the highest reaches of a glass ceiling. Mechanical birds float lazily around the upper vines. One giant fan pulls smoky air into the room while the vines purify it. A second fan blows clean air out the other side of the room. We're going to use an item. We're going to use this whistling sparrow, so B82. The mechanical sparrow hops around the floor right up to the planter where the vines grow. It pecks around in the soil and finds a worm to eat. Well, that was a waste of time. All right, back to the Dragonhide Heart. My apologies for wasting your time. This should be here, I think, right? For there, yeah. That's irritating. So we're going to go back to the Dragonhide Dragonhide Heart. An alcove, blah, blah, blah. It's working. Great. It's awesome. We could try A82. It doesn't cost us anything to use A82. The mechanical spirit flits from one sentry to the next, whistling happy. Its voice resonates in the chest of Sentry 4, but its compartment does not open. The random notes of the bird do not produce the sequence needed to unlock it. That's interesting. So we have to train it somehow, I think. Let's head up to the camp. We're going to go to E. Let's see. Collect the XP. You reach the top of the ladder and climb out to the stand on the shoulder of the Colossus. High above Gurlong Bay, you can see all the way south to Jolev. To the north, you can see as far as the Great Lorkheim mountain range, which marks the end of the abandoned lands and the beginning of Dragul territory. Mechanical birds circle the head of the Colossus. A small shelter sits on the edge of the giant's shoulder covered in moss. Two statuesque, short and rubber-like figures with fat pink crystals for a face rest near three gigantic bats. The two crystal-faced beings seem surprised to see you, and they approach with spears of crackling energy. Light from their glowing pink faces surrounds you. When the glow of pink has retreated, an image of you appears in the creatures' faces. You look friendly, communicative, and so they respond to you with kindness. They put their spears away and invite you to share their shelter. Even their riding bats are friendly to you. They gesture to invite you to rest. You relax by their tents, and they introduce themselves in gestures and projected lights from their staves. As best as you can make out, they are a race known as the Kleinox. They explore the plains, collecting and preserving knowledge of all the worlds. While you converse, the Kleinox serve a fine tea that rejuvenates you. Each player fill your row back up, which we're not going to do here. And then we can use an item. So we're going to use 82. You revealed the mechanical sparrow, and your hosts seem very interested. They hold out their hands, hoping you will hand it to them. Let's go ahead and give it to them. You hand the mechanical sparrow to your host, and they are delighted. It hops about from lap to lap, chirping away with great delight, its shining eyes looking up at each face. Your host claps their hand in joy at the little creature, and when you put it away again, they give you a little golden trinket they found in the shape of a sparrow. Gain 3 gold. Which is all great. I was really hoping that was going to let us fly up. But nope. Nope. We got to go this way. It's the only thing that we have left to do. Encounter 3. Let's hope that sparrow moves. That sentry moves. 9-3. If you have the title Constructs Assembler. Now, Constructs Assembler, I think, was from a previous, from when we were in the... Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have it. And I'm going to take a quick moment here and actually get the rest of these back into some order. Crete's Saber, Dragon, Duntum, Grix, Giselle's Ire is going to go here. General Grix Fealty is going to go here. King's Company, which I didn't think I had anymore, so I'm actually surprised to see that. Known, and Virendor's Revenge. All right, so there we go. So unfortunately, we don't have the Construct Assembler, so we're not going to get a different adventure. If the sentry token is on the adventure map, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to hope that we get a 3 or higher. We did. It's going to go to the next location. Glowing green fungus is caked thickly over the hallways, walls, and floors. Your steps leave deep footprints as if you were walking through snow. As you progress through the passageway, the fungus steadily grows thicker. It grows white, its glow whiter, until you are hacking your way through solid, fleshy light. Your hacks and slashes bring you to a break in the fungus, a sort of clearing where the growth is concentrated into a man-sized cocoon. As you approach, it wiggles and splurts out a humanoid form that lands on the hallway with a wet smack. The pale, slimy humanoid is faceless. It rises to its feet and staggers towards you in an unsettling manner. We can either run or attack. We're going to attack. Seems counterintuitive for everything that I've done before, but I'm not fighting. I'm not getting scared of some glow-in-the-dark mushrooms. I'm not the TV show Discovery. The humanoid staggers forward and seizes hold of you. Its grip is tight, and its face and body begin to change shape and color. It is slowly transforming itself into a copy of you. No matter how you shake it, it will not let you go, and as it changes, it opens a mouth full of long, venomous fangs and prepares to bite. Fungoid. No modifiers, so we're just going up against a fungoid here. So it's going to be a lot of constitution and intelligence, I think. A little bit of dexterity. That's a black. Sorry. That's black. All right, so we'll need a round marker here. We'll go ahead and use 2 green, 2 black. Mostly because the black is really difficult for us to generate. We have 1 dice that does it, but I kind of want to get as much dice as I can. So that's going to put us at 8. Probably going to lose some XP from this, but we could do 1 more for wisdom so that we get a white one. And I think we're going to go ahead and do that because we'll need to make sure that we can manipulate. We're going to need some way to generate an extra dice anyway to cover all 6. Fortunately, it doesn't look as deadly as it could. We've got 9, 11, 13, 15 potential damage. We've already got 9 fatigue, but even that won't kill. Like if we did nothing, this wouldn't kill us after the before the 3rd round. But let's try to knock out what we can. So we can knock out the 6 right away. That's instantaneous. We can knock out this 1. The 5, the 3, the 2, these are all a little bit more difficult. We don't have any way to really get any of these. So the first thing that we're going to do, we've got 4 plays plus 2 bonus that we can go for. And the first thing I'm going to do is generate a green die, I think. This will come in handy, the rune bones, because that will turn anything to a 3. In fact, let's just go ahead and use that. That's 1, 2. Sorry, 1 card so far. Protection. That's going to be 2. That's going to generate a green. So 5. Shield. We have something that will actually help us with this. Actually, no, that won't. We needed that to be lower. We can use the Mystic Robes. This will cover 3. This will allow us to re-roll the green. Okay, that's what I wanted. So we've used one of these. So for our 4th, we'll use this to make this a 4 and a 2, and the 2 gets covered, and we get our another XP. And then I think we have the wand, which will allow us to turn that into... Yeah, there we go. There we go. The wand, so we've used one of our bonus plays. We'll change this to a 3. Covered that. We don't have anything that covers the 2 yet. And I don't think I have any way to cover that 2 without just simply adding a black dice. Like, I could do that. I've got add a black dice there. But I think my best bet is to just simply take my lumps at this point, since I don't have any way to guarantee that I will generate a 2 with that last bonus play. I'm going to hold on to this. This is going to go back in here. And we're going to go to the next round. Now we're going to take a total of 6 damage, which is not great. Get one of these 5s. So let's go ahead and substitute in some 5s as well. We can substitute in a 10. That puts us at 15. So because of the increase in health, we're now in a much better situation than we used to be. I've got, before it was like, okay, so one more thing would kill me. Now at least I've got room to grow. But next we're going to go on to another round of combat. We're going to get 5 dice total. Both are familiar dice. All right, so we got 1 dice that will actually help us, which is a little frustrating, to say the least. But it's what we need. We needed a 2 there. We get a gold. We defeat the fungoid creature. So at the end of combat, we take our non-spent items back into our hand. All our dice goes back in here. We flip the rest token. One thing I haven't been doing is checking to see whether or not I need to refill attribute rows after the combat. I've said it a couple times, but I don't know if that's necessarily true. We are going to rest after this if we can. But I want to be accurate about that, because I've already made a huge error in the rules already. Did we not take this? Why is this here? That should not be here. Nor should this. That's because I moved that to here instead of the sentry. That's the sentry should have moved. Let's see. 935. With the fungal hatchling gone, your way through the hall is clear. You take care around the cocoon, which burbles and drips. As you exit the hall, you look behind you and see the cocoon swelling again with new life. That was 9-3. Oh, the reason I hadn't actually done it yet is because I hadn't actually gotten into the antechamber yet. So we can now choose to rest, which we will do so, and we'll use 3 XP to do. which means we're going to flip that. We're going to put our spent cards back, our bonus play token back, and take 3 cards and roll. Wow, that's bad. That is bad. So 6 is going to drop us down to 9. That is not good. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1. Everything's back to max. Oh. All right, so now we're going to go on to D. Collect the XP. A spiral staircase moves up the neck of the Colossus into a cozy room covered in elaborate woven rugs and rich tapestries. Bizarre musical instruments line the walls, strings, reeds, percussions, and brass, all of which seem to have been invented in some other world. Among this collection, you find an instrument of impressive craftsmanship revealed with your discovery card 75. Crystal flute. A small stuffed chair in the corner holds the bones of an ancient gnome wrapped in a flowery silk robe, a silver dagger stuck between its ribs. On its lap sits a sheet of parchment with a few bars of music inked in. You quickly commit to the tune to memory. The spiral staircase continues upward, but is blocked by a gearwork aperture in the ceiling. So we can force the passageway open, or we can tinker with the gears until they part. We cannot move to another location yet. We have to actually do one of these 2 things, which is a shame, because now that I have this crystal flute, I kind of want to do other things. But we're going to try to tinker with the gears, I guess. D7. You carefully tinker with the gears of the aperture, hoping to make the mechanism spring open. Thievecraft 4. And so that's going to be difficult to do, no matter what. We're going to need black, white. We're going to need a ton of stuff here. All right, so we're going to do 2 intelligence, 2 black. And we'll just keep it like that. 2 intelligence, 2 black. There we go. 2 blue, 2 black, I mean. And we're just going to pull for the rest because there are so many different colors. Like, we need one of every color except for what? There's one we're missing, isn't it? Red. We're missing red. Watch me pull 6 red. You don't think I can do it, can you? All right, that's good. That's actually really helpful. That's helpful. That's less than helpful. That's helpful. It's not great. We got 2 extra purples in there. All right, let's cover what we can first. So those go right away. And get the XP for that. That'll count there. You know what? We can use our skill ability, which we've not done yet. Return that to there, and that makes that a 6, and that's covered. The rest of this is looking a little garbagey. The 4 is the toughest thing to do. So let's plan this out in terms of what we're going to do. So we can use the Resolute and change this any 4. Do we have a 4? We don't have a 4. We need to get a 4. Maybe instead of the 2 3s, just going to revert us back here for a moment. I can add a 1 to a 3 to make 4, and then make that apply there. The 5 will just simply be there. So we can use the wand to do that. Sorry, that was a 3. Resolute, or sorry, not resolute. Manipulate and Blessed Mace can turn this 3 into a 6 by lowering it to a 1 and then flipping it. That'd be 4. Weak can turn... Yeah, so that's actually better. Weak can turn this 6 into a purple, and then I can use Jade Gauntlet to turn this 3 into a 6. So that's 4. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We need to cover the last 2 dice. And the last 2 dice... So we can add a die of our own color to the pool. But then we need a green 2. And that gets to be tricky. Because we don't have any way to just generate a 2. We can flip the 2 and then use the wand, but that's if we pull a 5, that's actually a 4. So we also have the Mystic Robes, and then we also have the Protection, which allows us to pull a green, right? And we have the Spike Shield. So let's start with pulling the blue dice first. Because I don't think this necessarily works unless it comes up right. But let's first get a blue die on here. And if with any luck it'll come up a 4, but if not a 4, then we got to start working other plans. 3. Okay, so unfortunately, that doesn't help me a whole lot. It does mean I can take the wand and I can move it back here for a moment. Because what I can do is... I can use Pickpocket to flip both of those. And that'll give me the 4 and this other... It doesn't really matter. I mean, it's going to just make that. But that doesn't help me a whole lot, does it? Oh, this is rough. This is legitimately rough. I do not know if I can do this. This gets me the 6. This gets me the 2 blues. It's this green 2 that I need. Because no matter what, I'm not going to be able to play another... I only have 6 cards that I can play total. mean, I could try to produce a 4. I don't think that's really going to help. That makes anything a 3. This adds a black dice. But what I really need is a green die. So I think my next best bet is to generate the protection, which really is not good. I don't know what I'm doing if this does not work. 5. So that is the wrong color. And that is the wrong amount, I mean. I could do Jade Gauntlet. Actually, I'm going to take a moment and pause here. Hey there, folks. So we are still trying to make this work. And I just don't see how. I mean, I could do the class ability to turn these into 2 6s. Take this away. I could use this to actually make this 1, this 3 a 6. I've still used 2 dice, and I've got 2 cards here now. This will cover the 6, the 6, the 2 cards here. And that will leave me with 2 more cards that I'd have to generate for the 1 and the 5 and the 2. And I could flip one of the 2s. I'll flip one of the 5s. I've got the Runic Shield. So that would give me... Move this over just a little bit. That would give me the 5. And then the question is, can I generate a black 3? And that's really what it comes down to. If I can't get a black 3 or a black 4, I can't do it. I mean, I can try to produce a 4 and see if that works. I've got what? I've got a 1 in 6 chance of... Actually, let's work the odds here. So I've got a 1 in 6 chance if I roll the spell of getting a 4. I've got a 3 in 26 chance, which is definitely not as good, I don't think. That's almost 1 in 9 of pulling a 4 and having it be a black. If I pulled my Cursed Raven, I have a possible shot of making do I though? If I do this, then I could possibly... I just don't think that there's any way that I can do it. The more I look at this, the more I think I'm just not going to be able to do it. Oh, wait, no, Runic Crown. A Pickpocket can come out. Pickpocket can come out. This Runic Crown can go in. Now I'm back to 5. Now I'm back to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're back on. This covers the 2 dice here, plus it covers the 2 here. This covers that. This covers that. Then I just need to get a 4, and I need to do it by producing a 4 and then turning it into any color that I want. So there we go. That's it. That's how we do it. Holy moly, that was a challenge. So let's do this properly. Let's first pull the 4. Not the right color. Okay. So Enchant goes there. Resolute also goes here. So that's... fills that in. We use the Runic Crown to flip this to a 4. To not flip it to a 4, we're going to increase its value by 1 to make it a 4. And then use the Runic Necklace to flip this to a 2. Still counts as 1 bonus play because both items can be used together as 1 item. Those fill in there. We get our item here. Class ability gets used. This 3 gets added to this 3 to make a 6. Jane Gauntlet can make anything a 6. That's our other bonus play. Can now rest. But that is it. That is the skill check. We have succeeded. Holy moly, that was rough. Let's put all these back. Skill check goes away. Discards come back here. And we continue on. D16. Okay. Record the keyword sing. That's the first thing to do. Your tinkering proves successful as the aperture slides open, granting you passage up towards the Colossus' head. A billow of steam bursts from the pipes overhead as you hear a rush of water moving upwards. Strange lights flicker on, one after the next, up the Colossus' neck, and you hear the whirring of gears and clinking of metal above. Strange music filters down from the automaton's head. All right, so we got a couple things here. So we're going to first reveal 14. And that is going to be the bridge, and that is going to be 2 diamonds, so that'll go there. We then put a little XP on it, so that'll be the next location that we can go to. Our King's... We do not have that. Okay, so we can discover the gnome's secret. Go to D25. You take a closer look at the skeletal gnome and notice that her hand points directly to a large boarhide drum in the far corner. You inspect this drum and find a secret journal stashed inside. It reveals much about this gnome, known as Gulpax the Crafter. In her journal, Gulpax writes of building this colossus, its sentries, and then the construct race. She tells of unearthing several artifacts from other planes to power the sentries and to guide the colossus on voyages across the planiverse. Several entries mention the immortal knight of Nalos, who was at first concerned by Gulpax's experiments, but was eventually persuaded to join her expeditions. There are several torn-out pages in the back of the journal where Gulpax apparently crafted spells. A few examples of her spellcrafting remains. You tear these out and roll these up for future use. Reveal 1 random scroll and add it to your hand. We're going to get Clarity. Add 1 stamina to one of your attribute rows from the supply, ignoring the human. I hate these ones because I never know when to play them. It's not the only one that we've got like that. Record keyword stash. You can now rest and use an item. So yeah, we're definitely going to rest. We're going to do... What do we got? 13 here, so I think we're going to do 3 more XP, which is a ridiculous amount of XP to give up. But since the last one went so badly, we kind of got to give up an extra amount so we can get our fatigue back down. That's better. That's 13. That's exactly everything. So that all goes back. That gets cleared out. Now we can fill these up. That gets flipped over. That class card ability gets flipped over, and this comes over here. And so now we're good. Now we can use an item. So the item that we're going to use is D7582, so we are going to pick up a fatigue. You play the flute, and the mechanical sparrow sings right along. As you play the notes on the sheet music in the skeleton's lap, the bird begins to sing in unison with you. The tune has a powerful effect on the walls around you, which shake as if the colossus itself were responding to the sound you make with the bird. Gain 3 XP. That's nice. That's nice. All right, so I think one thing that we forgot to do is add... We're going to have to back up here for a bit. Place the remaining encounter token in this spot. There we go. So we're going to get encounter 2. So we might as well continue upwards, onward and upwards. 9-2 is our next encounter. if the sentry is still on the board, we're going to roll. It is going to go to the next chamber, which means we're going to pass it as we come back through up to the Clynox camp if we have to. The passageway here becomes wide and short so that you have to crouch to continue. Ahead, in a speckled patch of sunlight that falls through a corroded metal above, you see the cloaked figure of a halfling lying prone on the floor. A short, dark figure with a pink crystal faceplate stands over the halfling, opening a jar of grey matter. The halfling rouses and cries out in horror when he sees the figure preparing to pour the grey matter over him. "Don't!" he cries. It was a misunderstanding." When you hear the halfling's voice, you immediately recognize him as Tarek Nowlin. So we're going to help Tarek get away from the strange creature. We could also see what happens when it empties the jar. I don't think we want to do that. We got a pretty good rapport with Tarek, so as the figure removes the lid from its jar, you rush forward to prevent the contents from emptying there's a word choice wrong here. As the figure removes the lid from its jar, you rush forward to prevent the construct from emptying the contents onto Tarek's chest. And then we're going to do a skill check of Quickness 4. Quickness. All right. Quickness is all about dexterity and charisma, apparently. So we're going to grab both dexterity and both charisma. 2 black, 2 blue. Sorry, 2 black, 2 purple. Which we got right here. We have a 6 that can be anything, and then we also need a green. So we're not going to do any other dice pulls. Although I really should, because that purple is probably going to be the hardest to get. Alright, we got another purple, so that's good. What I meant to say was those black ones are probably going to be the hardest to get. But we can't generate any more black without... without using 3 fatigue instead of 1. That's a bummer. Alright, fortunately the 4 and the 6 we might be able to cudgel our way around, but this is going to be tricky otherwise. Okay, so first things, let's go ahead and fill this 1 in and the 6 in, because both of those can be done. What else do we have here? We can't do anything with the 1. Can put the 6 here, so that 6 is covered. We have that 5. We have that 2. We can use our class ability. Let's do that first. We're going to take the 5 and up this to a 6. Is that what we wanted to do? Yeah. And then we can cudgel this down to a 4. We can use a card to get that to be purple. And then that's going to leave a bunch more cards here that we need to generate. So, first thing that we can do is check to see if we can make anything a 3 by default. Oh, and we have to claim the XP for the one we did. So there we go. So we can make anything a 3, and we can generate a 3. We can generate a black one. So, Pickpocket, Cursed Raven, Spellbook, Glaive. Where is it? Where is it? Dispel. Okay. So first 2 cards that we're going to do are Dispel and Runes, and that will basically, well, Dispel first. That's going to have us bring forth a black die. Turns up a 6, so we'll use this to make it a 3. And then we're going to use Grim Taker. And we're going to generate another black die. Because we also... do we want to do this? Because we could end up ruining our chances at the 4. The whole thing about the... Yeah, we want to take that back. We need to generate a 4. with enchant and then potentially use resolute. But since we don't have resolute, we don't need resolute quite yet. We just need to pull out a dice to make a 4 first. And if it's a black die, then we don't need to worry about this any further. It's a black die, so there we go. So that's 3. That becomes a 4. We get our other XP from this skill check. And then we can use wand to make this a 4. Now, how do we get that 1? And I think that's where I might have messed up here. We have manipulate, which allows me to get that down to, get this 5 down to, oh no, it was weak. Weak was what I had to do. There we go. That's it. Okay. So we've got a bonus play that we're going to take here. We're going to go ahead and flip the rest token. Weak allows us to make this 1 a purple, and we've completed our skill check. These can all go back. This can go back in. 926. You race forward and stop the hand of the crystal-faced creature before it can pour gray matter onto the king's agent. Tarek hops to his feet, and the creature, now outnumbered, hustles away, jar in hand. I'm afraid the Kleinox and I had a momentary misunderstanding. They all think I'm a danger now, at least until I can change one of their minds. Derek dusts himself off and tells you he is searching for the Colossus for an artifact of incredible power. It will be a great help to us on our mission to retrieve the Immortal Knight. Meanwhile, someone should see if they can get this contraption working again. You part ways, each searching for Dragolium chambers and parts of the Colossus that needs fixing. So, if we have the keyword harmless, we now have to erase it and replace it with danger. Thanks, Tarek. I think I might be all done with the Kleinox camps, fortunately, so yay. But that's going to suck otherwise. Our King's Favor goes up by 1 more, and we can now rest or go to the next location. We are going to use 1 XP to rest. We get 3 fatigue back. We'll go ahead and fill these in where they are supposed to be. And then get rid of the 2. This gets flipped back over, this gets flipped over, and all these cards come back. So bridge, we get up to F. If you have the keyword standby, F6, otherwise take the XP. You look out through the Colossus's windowed eyes over Gurlung Bay. Between you and the glass, there is a long panel of knobs and levers, each labeled with ancient runes and pictographs. The whole array hums and buzzes with internal activity. You have reached the control center of the metal giant. As you stare in wonder, a small figure crawls down over one of the windowed eyes, smashes open one of the faceted panes with his mallet, and leaps into the room. You take a defensive stance, but the figure chuckles. I see you got the bird I sent you, says a familiar voice, and you first suddenly recognize the figure as Gimlix, the treasure-hunting gnome you first met in Joliv. His forearm is still marked with the eye of the starlit door. I heard the king sent you, said Gimlix. After everything you've seen, you still fall in line with Under Terran? Personally, I would have given the ring to Verendor. Gimlix chuckles when you ask him about how he could know about your adventures near Cuddy's Landing. The eye watches over us all, he says oddly, leaving it at that. Gimlix places 3 fingers under his right eye and bows. I forgot to welcome you as a member, he says. My apologies. Then the gnome hops on top of the control panel and points out through the Colossus's windowed eyes. In the distance you see a massive stone gate towering over the abandoned lands. The battle has already begun, says Gimlix, but before we can join in, we should pay a visit to the Immortal Knight. If Terran wants him back, and Verendor wants the Immortal Knight dead, then the Starlit Door ought to have a say in the matter, don't you think? Before you can respond, Gimlix drops to the floor, opens a hatch under the control panel, and climbs in. I have to do some work on the control panel. Why don't you go below and see if you can get all the mechanisms working? Hurry back. When you've got everything moving again, I'll be here. If you have a bunch of stuff done, you tell Gimlix all you have done to get the Colossus working again. He looks impressed and quickly climbs up to fiddle with a few knobs on the control panel. Well done, he says. Are you ready to go? We don't have a lot of time, but if there's anything you still want to do before we launch, now is the time to do it. Continue to explore the Colossus, record the keyword standby, or move to another location, or tell Gimlix you are ready to launch. So the question is there something else in here that I can find? And I think, unfortunately, it was up here once I had the proper thing. Because I have a crystal flute and I have the whistling sparrow. F6 is basically where you go if you have standby already recorded. So we're going to go ahead and put standby on here and see what we can do. First thing that we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and use the crystal flute and whistling sparrow here, which I don't think is going to do any good, but you never know. Yeah, there's no F75. Oh, you can't use an item here. That's the thing. So we're going to move back to the antechamber. And what we're going to run into a problem with is that the sentry is going to be the problem. So C, C5. An alcove with a small kitchen, blah, 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 and Sentry 4 is chopping green and yellow leaves with its back to you. A large rusty lever protrudes from its back. When the sentry hears you enter, it turns, revealing its Dragolium chestplate. It searches for you, knife in hand. We can hide, or we can sneak up on the sentry and pull its lever. Either way, it's going to be a dexterity plus something else. So let's try to hide somewhere. C13. This is going to be Dangerous Concealment 3. There's a part of me that wants to just pull the goddamn lever. But we're going to do Dangerous Concealment 3. So fortunately not as bad as some of the other ones. Where it's going to be dangerous, though. Forget what dangerous does. Rewards cannot be gained until all dice are covered, so it's not that bad, actually. But it means it's an all or nothing if we want to get XP out of this. So we're nearing the end of what we need to do, I think, unless we have a combat up there, which I'm hoping that we don't. But I'm going to go ahead and actually use 2 green, 2 black, and 1 purple. Actually, let's go 1 white. And then because the dice limit is 8, we're going to get 3 more dice, and hopefully they will be dice that we can use. Okay. So the 1 is first. That's easy enough. The rest of this is not looking good. 3, 4. Okay. So we have 4 dice to cover. I think the first thing to do is just simply produce a green. That was the one thing I was hoping that it wouldn't be. But I can use Runic Necklace to flip it. So that's 2. And then Shield. Spike Shield. That's 3. to make this a 2 and 5. I can use weak. Yeah, I got this. Weak is all the way at the bottom. Weak allows me to interpret anything as a white or, sorry, purple or red. So that covers that. So that's 4. I'm going to pull a bonus play in, which should have already been over there. Sorry. And then we're going to use Spellbook. Just gonna, actually, let's just use the Blessed Mace. It's already there. That's going to make that a 2. And we've done it. All right. So these can all go back. We get 2 XP for doing that. We have to wait until we succeed, which we did. That's the dangerous part. All right, C24. The sentry is unable to find you, and so it returns to its work. Blah, blah, blah. Return this to D, which means we're going to deal with it again. Good Lord. All right, so we're going to use an item. We can rest first. Actually, we're going to rest. We're going to use these 2. Let's just do 1. 5. These 2 will go back. All the cards come back. These get filled up. Yeah, we're correct on there. So now we can use an item. We're going to use the Whistling Sparrow and Crystal Flute. 7582. You play the flute, and your mechanical sparrow chirps right along, repeating your every phrase. The reverberation in the chamber above you is lovely, and the sparrow takes flight, circling the colossus' heart while singing its heart out. In this space, it sounds as if many of the contraptions were singing together. You play the phrase you found on the top lap of the skeletal gnome, and when the sparrow repeats it, several compartments open up underneath the wooden counter. Continue to 27. In the compartment, you find some dried herbs, long turned to dust, a box of salt, a flask of healing elixir, marvelously preserved. Add 3 stamina divided as you choose to any of your attribute rows from the supply. Blah, blah, blah. I hate these ones because they don't seem to really ever matter. You now use another item or rest or move to another location. We're going to go engine room, steel lungs, and I think we've already seen that both of these are fine. We're going to go ahead and do 7582 again. So that's going to be this. You play your flute. You play your flute, and the mechanical sparrow sings right along. It flies in loops around the vines while repeating every musical phrase you play. When you're done, it lands on the workshop table, and you notice someone has carved a bit of musical notation into the wood. You try this tune, and your sparrow chirps along. After finishing the bars, you hear a click below the workbench and find a small safe in the floor has popped open. Inside, you find a few ancient coins. So we find 3 gold. We're going to go back to A. And we're going to hit... we're going to do 1 more. So that's going to be 7582. You try the song from the sheet music you found on the lap of the skeletal gnome, and the sparrow mimics the tune perfectly. The sound of these notes from the flute and the sparrow cause a reaction in the Dragolium chestplate of Sentry 4, A6. Gears turn, switches click, and the sentry's chest springs open, revealing a simple jar of purple face paint. The colossus shakes around you. Crackling purple energy fills the air. You hear the cry of giant bats in the air. Before a rift can open, you tuck the jar into a chainmail Dragolium sack, and all grows still once more. Reveal rare card 22. Yeah. Lavender pigment turns anything into a 2. Thank you. We now use another item or go elsewhere, so we should have been listed here. We'll now go up here. So now the question is, do we want to continue on past the sentry, or do we want to head up to the Klinox camp where they're probably going to be hostile? I don't because we found the Dergolium item, I don't think that there's much to be gained by going to the Kleinix camp, so we're going to skip that, but we are going to have to deal with this sentry again in the chamber, which blows. The bones of an ancient Rome gnome rest in a stuffed chair surrounded by strange musical instruments. An open gearwork aperture in the ceiling allows passage up to the colossal's head. Sentry 4 stands next to the skeleton gnome as if waiting for it to drink its tea. The sentry's white Dergolium chestplate is spotless, giving it the appearance of a butler. We can either try to pull the lever or we can pretend to be the gnome. We're going to pretend to be the gnome because that's going to require intelligence and charisma. You take a sip of the tea and the sentry watches intently. It seems to be buying your act. Dangerous deception. All right. Blue and purple. We're going all out here. We need 3 blue. 3 purple. And you might be saying to yourself, what are you doing? 1 white. I figure we're probably not going to have any more skill checks or combat between now and the end of the adventure, so I can afford to be really reckless and just bring out all the dice I actually need, and then worry about playing cards that I can use to manipulate to get the right numbers. We're going to have the dangerous card out, but we all should know what it does at this point, and that is rewards cannot be gained until the slots are covered. So now we're going to take 1 more die out, and we got a white and black. It is 3, right, that we're doing? Deception 4. We need Deception 4. Crud. So it's this one. That's even nastier than I thought. But we do get 2 more dice, so 2 more dice. This is going to be tougher than I thought. All right. So 5 covers that first. 4 covers that. We have a lot of dice that are the wrong type. 5 will cover that. 2 can get added to a 3 to make 5, which we don't really need. We need these purples to be 1 less. Yeah, this is not looking good. All right, so let's start to break down what it is that we have to do here. So, pickpocket can allow me to flip the 2s. We're going to need pretty much everything here. This is just nasty. I'm going to put this aside. This lavender pigment will help me make something of 2. This is how I think I get a 4 to cover one of these. I'm really screwed here. And I'm looking at these and I'm just not seeing any way around what I need to do. Let's pull the 5 from here for a moment. Let's think about what it is that we're doing. I think, because we need to have a strategy here. So if we generate a blue, which we can do with that, we can then use pickpocket to manipulate. Leave 1 5 for the end, 5 on the end here. Then take this 2. Oh, this is just looking nasty. I honestly did not think I was going to fail this, and I don't think I can fail this. Because I'm going to have to go combat after this, and I could actually die as a result. How am I going to do this? How am I going to do this with 6 cards? Spellbooks first. That's 1. That's going to make this a 4. We've got that covered now. I think we do this as 2 so we can get another blue die here, because I think that blue die is going to help us. Okay, that's not great. Like, all of these are the wrong color. That's the problem. We're going to use our class ability to add this 2 to this 2 to make 4. So this goes back in the bag. We're going to use I might be able to do this. Rune Bones will allow me to change something to a 3. So that's 3 cards. Lavender Pigment and Weak. No. I'm going to take this back. This is going to be a 5. That's 3. This is now a 2. Pickpocket is 4, making this a 2 and this a 2. Class ability now does come into play, except I think I've already done class ability. These are all the wrong color. Why? Weak is 5. I'm an idiot. I didn't need to do that at all. I had glaive, which could turn my 2/3s into 2s. So lavender comes back. Weak comes back. I'm not sure how I got the weak in there to begin with. I'm sorry. I think I've messed this up, and I think I should probably go back and take a look and see what this was originally, but I'm not going to do that. Pickpocket and glaive both work there. I need something that will adjust both of those 5s. Hey, sorry for the brief break. I completely messed up a rule there. And I went back and checked the video, so this is what I have to start with for the dice. I also realized that the video is, I think, cutting off a little bit down here. I keep thinking of this as an area that I can videotape, but it's actually up here. I think this just might be because of the long map, so I apologize. So we've got ourselves a situation where we need to, in 6 cards and our class ability, fill this row. Otherwise, we're going into combat. And I think that is going to be dangerous, very dangerous. Because then we have to fight a sentry. And we're going to be already dealing with 13 fatigue. And a lot of attribute rows missing their items. So we want to try to fill this up as best we can. One thing I forgot that I have is the glaive. And that glaive is going to be crucial. So this allows us to adjust 2 dice down or up. So we're going to make these 2s. And that's going to complete that. And that's our purple. We then need to finish these over here. This is going to be tricky to do, to say the least. But I think what we do is we actually pickpocket for 2. So that's 2 cards. And these become both 2s. We then use our class ability to add one of the 2s to this 2 to make a 4. And this goes back in the box. We can generate a 5. And I know it might seem a little counterintuitive. Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're good. So, resolve. We need wand. We're going to need resolute. Resolute. We're going to need spellbook. And we're going to need gather force. Gather force, gather power. Sorry, there we go. All right, so this will complete it, and I apologize. I know it's stupid to do a jump cut like that. I apologize. I know that probably seems like I'm cheating. Feel free. I'm now playing this game for way too long. So wand goes in here. That becomes a 3. Yay. Resolute means any 3 becomes whatever color we want. We're going to play this as our 4th card. Spellbook is a bonus play. That makes this 5 a 4. And our other bonus play is this gather power. This simply creates a 5. We'll just make this a 5 because we're not going to need that otherwise. And that's it. That is, we've covered this. We get 2 XP as a result. And we'll go ahead and close out our skill check here. These all go away. This goes off to the side. I'm hoping I don't need dangerous again. That's going to go up here. Bonus play tokens go back. Don't go back yet. Sorry. Discards go back in here. The sentry retreats. You finish the tea and the sentry leaves you in peace. D21. The sentry is fully deceived by your ruse. When you've finished off the tea, it collects the cup from you and exits the room. With the sentry gun, you are able to focus on opening the aperture. Blah, 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 blah. We've already done that. So we've done all this to get up to the next level. We're going to move this over to here. I'm a little concerned as to why it's telling me to do that again. Usually it's really good. Oh, I messed up again. I was supposed to do D13. So the way this is set up, D10 and D13 are next to each other. I think this is when you have not cracked it open yet. So that's why you're doing Deception 4. I should have just done Deception 3. I'm going to count that as a win anyway, because holy cow, that was difficult. D24, blah, blah, sentry's stupid. It's confused. You go up to the F. Stand by. Are you ready to get going? We're going to go to F7. Gimlix nods and climbs into what appears to be the captain's seat of the vessel. As he searches for something in the arm of the chair, you hear a familiar voice mumbling to itself from the ladderway below. Suddenly, a goblin emerges onto the bridge. You recognize him as Gundar, your dragonal companion from Gulbach. He carries a mass of maps and diagrams with him. Hello, Gundar says, surprised to see you. I see you've got the control center operational. I have some blueprints here that show us how. Suddenly, Gundar leaps back, dropping his papers and drawing a thin blade of chiseled bone. He points his blade directly to Gimlix. Are you with him? Gundar asks you nervously. Gimlix steps forward, brandishing his mallet. There's no room for you, goblin. Time to go. Evenly matched, they paced around each other, looking for a chance to strike. You'll have to choose one of these two to help you pilot the Colossus to a frill in search of the immortal knight. We're standing with Gimlix, definitely. So, you stand beside Gimlix and draw your weapons. Gundar looks crestfallen. Oh. He gathers his paper and heads back down the ladderway into the depths of the Colossus. Gimlix steals the entryway and takes the captain's chair. Record the keyword Gimlix. If your Dragool is higher than your Starlit door, increase your Starlit door by 1. Repeat this process until your Starlit is higher than your Dragool. That is not the case. Our Dragool is really low. Otherwise, Starlit door plus 2, Dragool minus 1. If any player has the object gray matter, F10. Gimlix holds out his hand. I'm going to need that little jar you and Tarek found at Black Lake. I trust you still have it? You produce the jar of gray matter and hand it to Gimlix. A small pedestal rises from the floor next to his seat. He places the jar on the pedestal and covers it with the Dragolian dome. Then the pedestal retreats from the floor. Gimlix turns a few knobs and pulls several levers. The air overhead darkens and begins to swirl. Return the object card gray matter to the rare deck. 55. Return the title Revealer of Secrets to the title deck. And we can add 1 stamina to every row if we want. I'll get another one to replace it. That seems like an important one to... we can add 1 to each row, ignoring the limit. F12. You may have noticed that the King's Rift in Sabek was rather disruptive, he says. That's because he only had a jar and a Dragolium tuning fork to work with. But with a machine like this, we can direct an artifact's power almost like the gate at Brazora Wall. Gimlix twists a knob at the end of his armrest, and the Colossus's hull hums around you. Could you play a few bars on that flute of yours, please? He asks you. You comply and repeat the phrasings on the sheet music you found on the Ancient Gnome's lap. The air crackles with purple energy. Hold on, cries Gimlix. This next part could get a little bumpy. Reveal discovery cards 41 to 42. If I have to do a skill check, I'm going to be livid. But I think I have to do a skill check. So I'm going to be livid. I did not rest thinking that there was nothing else ahead. The skill check requires placing 9 die in row so that the sum of the 2 dice on the right equals the value of the dice placed on the left. Dice limit 10. Okay, so, I mean, we can add a lot of dice here, but now I'm really upset that I did not rest before because we don't have any of this stuff. And we don't have our bonus plays. And I really wish that there had been some indication that this was coming around the pike. We're going to go ahead and add 3. That brings us to 16. 19. 22. So we're still good health-wise. What this is going to do, it's going to give us 3 of each of the colors that we need. So 1, 2, 3. I'm salty. I'm more than a little salty. That last skill check took a lot out of me. And then dice on the 10, so we're going to get 1 more on top of this. Okay, so the 5s first. Okay, no, that goes here, sorry. It's going to go there. That's going to go there. Okay, let's see what we can do with the rest of this. Spellbook allows us to manipulate a white die, which we really don't need. This allows us to make anything a 3, which might be helpful. Add a die of our die color. So we're going to start with this as 1. We've only got 4 dice, 4 to work with because we don't have the bonus plays. Salty. 3. Okay. So if I have a blue adjustment, make anything a 2. I don't think I'm going to be able to do this, but let's give it a try anyway. So Runic Crown will be 2, and that'll allow me to do this. We need to interpret anything as white. Let's see what we got here. Is there anything else that we can do, or are we just twiddling around? We can make something a 3, we can make something a 2. That's fine, but we can only play 4 cards. We could try to just simply add a white die, add a cursed die, actually, and just see if we luck out and roll something that we need. So we've got a couple different options here, but nothing really is going to be that helpful. 2. Unfortunately, that doesn't really do anything for us. We can use the rune bones to make something 3, but now we've used all our dice, and this becomes 3. So this 2 gets added to it, and unfortunately we are unable to do it. Again, I wish I had rested. Really wish I had rested. Those go in here. This goes here. This goes here. And this is a failed skill check. So we're in for a bumpy ride. Let's see, F17. While Gimlix calls out instructions and you rush around the Colossus's bridge, you aren't really sure what any of the controls do. Several times Gimlix jumps out of his chair and, in alarm, fixes your mistake. Are you purposely trying to get us all killed? Blah, 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 blah. You feel unsteady. The world around you wobbles like air over hot sand. Gimlix violently cranks a large wheel that he says stabilizes the quasi-planar shear. You're thrown suddenly against the wall and momentarily black out. You wake again, a heartbeat later, as the Colossus reaches forward and rips the air before it in two. It crashes forward through the rift, landing with a sudden jolt. Each player choose a skill or trait card from your hand, discard or spend space, and return it to the deck. Skill or trait. Definitely not returning resolve. I use that thing more often than anything else. Skill or trait. I could do weak, which I really would rather not. Manipulate. Oh, yeah, definitely. It's going to go back to the rare deck because I never use it. Oh, wait, what's the other one that I have that is like that? Clarity. There. Oh, that's a scroll. Never mind. So Emboldened is going to go back to this deck, and that's going to be 35. It's not worth getting. All of these are going to go back. If we had succeeded, we would have gotten 3 XP, so that's a bummer. These, I think, can go back into the Discover deck. We go on to the end. What kills me is, had we actually taken the time to rest, even just 1 XP, we would have gotten it, like, easily. That was not a hard skill check to get. Go to the end. Okay, you arrive on the other side of the rift, and the interior of the Colossus's bridge is bathed in red sunlight. The Colossus wades in an endless gray ocean, which is interrupted by a gigantic cluster of purple stone archways nearby. Moving towards this structure, the Colossus sinks deeper into the sea with each massive shuddering step. By the time you approach land, the water is up to its neck, and your vision is obscured by storm. You smell burning metal from the passageways below. Glass shatters as you collide with the land. You fall forward and roll out through a break in the Colossus's face. You crawl to higher ground and watch from safety as gray folk emerge from the sea. While the creatures of this strange world destroy your only way home, you take a moment to reflect. And now we have to get the title card 83 because of Tarek Nowlin having to be a jerk. Because otherwise we would have had the keyword harmless, but instead we have the keyword danger. So instead of known to Kleinox, we are hostile life form. Yay. We might have actually been able to go back and do something with restoring our reputation. Let's say Levy. The rubber-bodied crystal-faced creatures you encountered in the Colossus were hostile and strange. They weren't. You remember their powerful magic and wonder about its source. Perhaps if you encounter them again, you might learn their secrets. Gimlix gives you a nudge to wake you from your reflection. He points to the shoreline where 2 figures emerge from the Colossus's head. Gundar and Tarek Nowlin scramble free and make their separate ways into the arch cluster. They're looking for the Immortal Knight too, he says. If he sides with the king, he'll make trouble for us in the battle ahead. If the Dragul kills him first, that will give them an edge. But if we can find him first, we might be able to persuade this knight to our cause. Gimlix pats your shoulder and heads up the archway. Best if we split up. We have a better chance of finding him that way. Soon you are alone on the shores of the strange world. You steel your courage It's time to find the immortal knight and prepare for the Battle of Brazil Wall. You may now advance your character. Thank you so much. I will see you all tomorrow.